Hello, this is Chris Heasley with the Chris Heasley Show, and we have a very exciting show tonight because we have the newly elected statewide Republican Party chairperson, rindaRandall. How are you doing, Dorinda?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be on with you.
Great. We're very happy to have you. Congratulations on your win. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a wife of David Randall, and we've been married for a very long time, 27 years, and we have three amazing boys. We have one grandchild and one on the way, so we're very excited about that. And we lived in Plano for about 18 years, and then my husband was relocated to Houston. We lived in Cypress, and then we moved back here in this neck of the woods, and we are in Waxahachie now for a year.
Is that northeast?
Yes. No, I don't know. Yes, I think so. I'm really bad at directions. It sounds good.
Very good. Well, it's a new day with you at the helm of the party chair. What caused you to run? What was your reasons for making that, campaign?
Well, I saw a lot of things that was not happening in the party, and I knew that I had the energy still to do something about it, but I didn't think I was ready yet. I didn't think that I wanted to take on the chair role. So I didn't really entertain it, but I had friends that were strong arming me to do it. And with all the ideas that I had in Plano, I built a Republican club to over 100 members, to over 500 members. And I did that by being just excited about who we are as Republicans. And then also I wanted to build our brand, and I wanted us to build more people to become members at our club. And we had a lot of young ladies join because I really targeted after young mothers to come to our club and to become very active in the Republican Party. And a lot of women ran for office in that club as well. So anyway, but I toured, I went as vice chair, I went to over 100 cities across Texas, and a lot of those folks said we need new leadership, and they asked me if I would run. And so I did a lot of prayer, and then I listened, and I decided I would do it. And here I am.
Excellent. Very good. That's an ambitious goal. So going forward here, what is the vision that you see for the Republican Party under your leadership?
So what I see is we are going to be ready for the midterms because we are really going to make sure that our county chairs are equipped, that our precinct chairs are equipped, that they have a true partner with the Republican Party. And I also want to target the youth. We have so many outstanding youth that are involved with this party, and we've got to make sure that we capitalize on that. And the one thing that I see in South Texas is you see a lot of young people that are involved with the party, and they have found freedom in this party that they do not have in the Democrat Party because of all the craziness and insanity that they want for policies, and they know that their policies are not what's good for their families and their future. So I have a lot planned for the youth of our party and also the seniors, but in the people that have been involved in the party for a long time, like myself, we love seeing the energy of the youth, and that just energizes us to do more too, because there's a lot to do. We have a real threat that is here with the Democrat Party and the socialism and the communism that they support. We can't allow that in Texas. We can't allow that for our state or for our country, and we've got to make sure that we're ready to combat that. And we are going to be ready with the amount of things that I have planned for the party.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see the Texas Democrats is that I look at them as they've lost a lot of momentum. I see them as a wounded animal, but they're still an entrenched group. They're very entrenched and they're very formidable. How do you, and of course they have control of our urban centers. How do we penetrate the urban centers and begin to take away some of their ground?
So how we do that is our messaging. Our messaging has got to be dynamic. It's got to be something that communicates to everyone. And so that's one of the key components that I'm actually working with the RNC. They have a huge messaging type of group that they have already sent me some things that are really exciting that we're going to start utilizing. And so, but our messaging has got to be strong. One of the things that I want to do is do a billboard campaign. Whenever I was vice chair, I did a billboard campaign in South Texas, and it cost about $6,700, but I raised the money to make that happen. And we had billboards out there, and it was as simple as it was President Trump's iconic "Fight, Fight, Fight," and it said, "Save America, vote Republican." That's it. And it really was something that a lot of people called and let us know that they were very excited to see us do something like that. So it's getting out in front of the issues and making sure people even know why they're Republican. Why do we fight so hard for this state, and why do we fight so hard for this country, for things that we believe in? And our party is the one that wants to help all Texans, not just Republicans. We want to help all Texans, and we want them to succeed. And our policies are what does that for them. And so we've just got to make sure we communicate that at their level and where they are. And so that's what we did with South Texas. South Texas is a great area to do a study on, to find out how we did that. And it's because they believe in the family values. They don't want boys and girls sports. They want girls to have access to college on the God-given talent that they have got in themselves for sports. And so they don't want men in women's restrooms. They don't want children to feel that they can keep secrets from their parents. And so, they want to make sure that the property taxes are lower. In Virginia, the Democrats ran as Republicans, saying that they would make sure that their taxes were low and they were going to do all these things. But the first week that they were in office, after they won, they submitted 100 bills to increase their taxes. And so we have to remind them, they may say one thing, but we know what they're really about when they get power. Like, for one other thing I'll tell you is the Democrats in the Texas House argued for 2 hours for squatters to have rights to our property. So when they show you who they are, believe them. And we just have the better policies. We have the right people in office too.
And you mentioned something briefly there about the family values that exist on our southern border. And I mean, what we're talking about is the Rio Grande Valley. And I mean, that's a largely Latino, very pious Christian, Catholic Christian community. And they were Democrats for the longest time. I think it's a major paradigm shift that now it is not popular to be a Democrat in that community. It's now popular to be a Republican. That's a major development for the Republican Party, something that we can move on. But then, of course, the other groups that we need to move into. Just tell me what your thoughts about the fact that our Latino communities in this transition right now.
I think it's great. And the thing is what you see whenever it's actually South Texas is my favorite place to go. And I've been there many times, but the enthusiasm and the warmth of the people, and they love God, and our party fights for God, and we fight for the 10 Commandments. We, in schools, kids are losing themselves in their identity with the social media. And when we introduce God back into the schools, that's where they can find out that they are truly beautifully and wonderfully made. And so, and it used to be, whenever it came to our country, that it was uncommon for people not to know the Bible. Now it's uncommon for children to know the Bible. And that is really sad, because that doesn't bring future happiness. If you're only looking within yourself to find happiness, you have to know that there's somebody that loves you. There's a greater purpose, and it's not all about you. And so we've steered away from that, and we need to get back to where we let kids know that there's something bigger than them that's out there that loves them. And that's how it is in South Texas. The faith that they have in Jesus Christ and our Lord, they are very strong in their faith. And so when they kept seeing the demonization of God and mocking God, and you know, on Easter when Biden had the transgender day, those type of things really shows you who the Democrats are when they get into power, and that's not what any Texan wants, and especially not in South Texas.
The loss of our Christian ethics, you know, that of course was the foundation of this country for the longest time, and now I would say it's in question.
Yeah.
And that opens the door for all of these questionable ideas to enter our communities, and specifically the hypersexualization of our society.
Yes.
And, you know, I mean, the question becomes, how do we get back to that? And of course, I agree with you. I think that it's placing religion back in the schools. What is the status of that right now? I believe that the 10 Commandments in the schools is now solidified into law. Is that
Yes,
correct?
it sure is. And so, and there's, and you know, you've got Cyprus Republicans, and I think they put out 3,000 10 Commandments, and they had them framed. They, and all of their members, along with other great clubs, went and delivered all of them to the schools in Harris County. So it's a groundswell of clubs all over Texas that have also made sure that they go deliver those to the schools. But isn't it funny that that is seen as hateful to some, when actually, you know, it's just a rule book that of somebody that loves us enough to make sure that we have a guidebook to making sure that people know what the moral compass should be, and then it's not within ourselves. It was already designed for us, and all we have to do is pay attention to it.
You know, one of my, actually, if you want to know the truth, my spirits are up, because where I gauge progress is on the ideas of the people. It is popular opinion before anything else that dictates our future. And in all areas, I see popular opinion turning in the right direction, just like you made the case with a return to Christian values. But another thing that you mentioned is property taxes. So I want to mention 2 points. Number one, President Trump, he fired 38,000 IRS agents. The IRS no longer has an enforcement arm. From the state of Ohio to the state of Texas, property taxes are unpopular. When for the longest time, we were told, pay your taxes, be a good citizen, you can't fight City Hall. Now people are grabbing their Constitution and you know, and challenging these ideas, these momentous ideas. What are the chances that we make a headway with reducing property taxes or eliminating property taxes in the state of Texas?
I really think that it's strong that because the governor has mentioned it more than a few times, and he's made sure that he's let all of us know that that's something that is going to be a priority for him. And so with that at the helm, that's fantastic. I'm a realtor, and you know, I was living in Cyprus when I got our last tax bill, and property tax bill, and it went up like 30%. And that is unreal. It's the same house. I had not done anything to it. But as a realtor, one of the things that I've seen is 2 of the houses that I've sold, they're wanting to go to Arkansas. Texas is the best state, but Arkansas is pretty.
Of course.
Yeah. But Texas, it's just where you want to be. And if our property taxes are too high, we're going to lose a lot of great Texans. So Governor Abbott knows that. I'm excited that he does. And I know that Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has talked about it. I think Speaker Burrows has as well, that everybody is motivated to do something for Texans about our property taxes.
Yeah, I believe that we need a considerable reduction in property
Yes,
taxes as a good first step to moving towards the complete elimination of them. You mentioned that you're a realtor. When I launched the show, my opening monologue was on the loss of industry in America, and my argument was this: at what point do we have too many realtors, too many insurance agents, too many physical therapists, things of that sort? It's, you know, when I was a child, I was born in the 1970s in the Rust Belt, well, the industrial belt back then, in the industrial Midwest. Now it's the Rust Belt because of the exodus of our jobs to overseas. Do you see a return of industry coming back to this area? Because I want you to have less competition when you're out there doing your realtor profession. And it's just as if, because we lost this industry, everyone goes and gets their real estate license and competes with you. We're all competing with one another. Wouldn't it be great if we had a return of industry in the state of Texas?
Well, I can say yes. And one of the things that, just sticking to real estate for a second, is that Zillow and Open Door, a lot of them tried to make it to where they could take the real estate agents out. But if you looked at the fine print, you saw that their fees were actually higher. So people have noticed. And also there was a lot of people that decided, you know what, I'm going to do it myself with this company that doesn't charge anything. And when they did that, they saw that the need for a real estate agent, because we know the laws, we know the obstacles you're going to face, and we know how to head them off. We know how to negotiate. We know how to do all of those things to follow the law. And so when you don't have that, you're putting yourself at risk. And so I have been at it now for a while, and I absolutely love it. But I also take fiduciary responsibility very seriously. And so I think people are waking up on that end. The other thing is that you're talking about, manufacturing coming back. Toyota just did, announced yesterday that they're going to bring some of their vehicles out of Mexico for factory work, and they're going to bring them here to Texas. That's exciting. Toyota was already doing so much here, but now they've decided, you know what, we've tried the Mexico way. It's not working. We're going to bring more industry here. So I love the fact that we have a lot of industry that is coming back. And even with the tariffs and what we saw with Trump and in what he did, is a lot of manufacturing is coming back here. And also, I just read an article, I can't remember who it was, but they said that they have cracked the code for getting chips made here. So that's something that's very exciting.
That is excellent development. I'm going to go to my next special interest. That's my special interest. I don't know if you'll be able to comment on this or not, but one of the challenges I see with the country, just like the erosion of our incomes through taxation, is the debasement of our currency. And I don't know if this is a very particular question, but in Texas, there was an effort to get us sort of like a gold-based currency here. Do you know anything about that?
I do not, so I can't talk about that, but I do know that my husband, he builds safes and vaults, and he actually had a big part of the vault that was built for the bullion here in Texas. So that was very exciting. That's about all I can talk about.
You got any more you can say about that bullion in Texas?
Nope, I've been sworn to secrecy.
There you go. There you go. I won't press it anymore. So talking about statewide issues, everyone here in Houston is excited because because Greg Abbott has made an initiative to make a investment into to make a campaign into the city of Houston, the urban center of Houston, an attempt to break up this stronghold that the Texas Democrats have had on our city center for the longest time. I think Houston is the third or fourth largest metropolitan area in the country. If Greg Abbott's able to take that out of the hands of the Democrats, it's a whopping blow. What can you tell us about Greg Abbott's efforts in that area?
Well, it is very exciting because we have had some movement in Harris County to the Republican side. And so with the effort that he's going to do, it's going to be all hands on deck, but we are going to make sure that we put a real dent because, in Harris County, they've lived under Lena Hidalgo. They've lived under all of these guys that have destroyed Harris County and made the crime so out of control, and the jobs are not there. And so with the Democrats and even with Lena Hidalgo, I remember whenever she did the beautification that she was only going to help the poor, and she was going to not even take out the trash for the wealthy. Those type of things is what people don't want. But the other thing that I'm sure he's going to do is make sure that our messaging remains on how their policies are destructive. And we've got to have somebody that cares enough about the citizens of Houston to do something about it. And the Republicans are the only ones with the policies that are going to help that. The Democrats do nothing but destroy one of the best cities in Texas.
One of the things I can tell you is that 10 years ago, when this was the Bush state, right? The Bush Karl Rove state, our Republican candidates trying to take on the Democrats, the Texas Democrats in the city centers, were not formidable.
No.
I don't think that the Republican Party at that point in time was considered serious. Whereas today, in Harris County, we have had the greatest primaries, the greatest primary runoffs with serious competitors. And these men are a breath of fresh air because they're not opportunistic.
No.
I think that literally we're in such deep water in Harris County that Republicans are legitimately interested in bailing water, getting this ship back afloat. It's a great development. We have real candidates now. I still consider them all underdogs,
Right.
but they are in the
Yeah,
game,
they are.
and it's an amazing time. I played a pretty big role in interviewing these guys, getting their names out, letting people know the choices amongst them, and I can tell you that 9 out of 10 were very impressive
Yeah.
characters.
Richard Vega, Orlando Sanchez, um, there is a ton of really good ones that are out there. Liz Ramos, in Cyprus. We have a real chance because it's the caliber of people that are running in Harris County that we have a real shot, and we haven't had that in a while. And it's also people that have been involved in the party for a long time that said, you know what, I guess it's me. But they know the work that needs to be done. And so it is an exciting time to see what's going to happen, because you're right, the caliber is there.
It's great that you know these names. I've known these names for, I don't know, 2 years now. And we always felt that the Republican Party for the statewide party, was the party of Dallas,
Yeah.
of Metro Dallas.
Yeah.
And to me, it seems clearly that you've met these people. You've been to their social gatherings. You know who they are. You're able to roll off their names. That's a
Yeah,
development.
well, thank you. I lived in Cyprus. We lived there for about 7 years, and I absolutely loved it. And the heart of Houston is so fantastic. And I just went there a couple of weeks ago, and when I go, I feel like it's home, even though I only lived there for 7 years. But it just has a different vibe that people don't know unless they've lived there. And you've got such great people that make Houston what it is and make it worth fighting for. And so, yeah, there's a lot of politicians that I met, and they're not really politicians. They're people that really just care about the community. And so, I was thrilled to live there. I loved it. So, yeah. And the one thing that I'm doing with the Republican Party, one of the things that you brought up is, making sure that we have a candidate spotlight. So one of the things that I do on X every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m., and I record these as well, is I have different candidates come in and speak about who they are, where they're running, and what they need from everybody. So, and usually it's volunteers they need. They need to do coffees at their houses, so that way it's a more intimate setting to where they can get to know the voters. And then of course they always need money. But my first one was this week. It was with Dr. Jennifer Mushtaller, and she's a OBGYN in Travis County, and man, is she a great candidate. And then I also had Celeste Huff from South Texas, and she was fantastic. And then next week I have Liz Ramos on, and she's running for HD. She's running for the House. She's running for John Rosenthal's old seat. John Rosenthal, such a neat guy. He's a Democrat, and I went to a school board meeting in Cyprus, and of course we were trying to get rid of the whole gender thing in our schools, and he of course called us all bigots right there in the room. And so that's always such a neat thing. What I do love about the Republican Party too is that we have evolved in the fact that we don't really care, and it doesn't phase us anymore being called bigot or racist or any of that to shut us down. It used to work at first. It doesn't work anymore. We know who we are because God has designed us to be somebody that loves others. So when you call us name, sorry, we know who God has pointed us to be. So it doesn't phase us anymore. And that's such a great place to be, because we can have actual conversations now with even the people that don't support our ideas, but we're rooted in truth. And so it's always something that's great. But anyway, but the candidate forums, I'm going to do those candidate spotlights every single week until we get to the midterms, because I want people to hear how impressive our people are compared to theirs with Tallarico and his crazy. You know.
I mean, let's just talk about Liz Ramos for a second. I think I may have given Liz Ramos her first interview, definitely one of her very first interviews. And then about a few months later, I gave her a subsequent interview, and she really opened up. And so what I'm trying to say is that these candidates, by going on your show, by going on this show, they're learning how to be a candidate, how to communicate their ideas. And Liz's development was incredible. I mean, the last time she was on the show, she held the attention of everybody. She had so much content, so much information, overflowing with ideas, and they were empowering ideas. And I think it's coming from your show. I think it's coming from this show. It's coming from these candidates. It's really a great development.
It is great that, the Republicans, what I love about podcasts like yours is that when it came to mainstream media, the thing is they always had Democrats on. And so our candidates weren't exposed to things like that. So what we did as Republicans, because this is what we do, is we circumvent. When we're told no, we don't sit there and pout about it. We go around the system. We find a way to get to the people. And that's actually what President Trump actually showed all of us. Get around the media, the fake media. Go in fake news. Go around them and make something happen. And that's what you've done with your podcast. But then what happens is, in turn, is you get people like Liz Ramos that gets the exposure, and she gets the experience to make her sharper every single time she is talking to the media.
One very exciting development coming up is a statewide convention. As I understand it, President Trump will be playing a fundamental role, a pivotal role in that convention. And he's setting it up to really fund the party, to become a revenue source for the party. Can you tell us about that?
I'm so thankful you asked. So it is going to be here in Dallas, in the Dallas area. And it's considered like a midterm convention. Like, it's all of these so-called delegates are going to be coming from all over the country. And so we only get a limited amount of seats, very, very limited, but we also get to charge for those tickets, and it will help our parties. All of our state parties are needing help. Some state parties are doing better than others, so they don't have to charge as much. We in Texas are going to charge. It is a fundraiser. It is it's meant to motivate everybody, get them ready for the midterms. But we also, in Texas, the thing that we have to look at as well is that we have the RNC convention coming up in 2028. So we are going to have a lot to celebrate in the fact that Texas is going to be on the map. Well, we always are, but in 2028, the RNC convention is going to be here. And it's going to be in Houston. And then you have the RPT convention is also going to be in Houston. So, and a lot of people are like, why can't we go anywhere else other than Houston? Well, Houston is the only one that can handle the volume of the Republicans that we have. And so we went out to bid for Dallas. We went out to bid for Corpus Christi. We went out to bid for all these other cities, but they could not do it because they're under construction in 2028. That's when they're slated to do so. So, and then Corpus just can't handle the volume that we're going to have when it comes to a presidential convention. But when it comes to the next gubernatorial one, that's when we're going to be able to open it up a little bit more and do a different city. But in regards to this one that's coming, it's going to be fantastic because President Trump is actually the one that thought of this idea. RNC then is just riding the wave of our president, and we are just riding the wave of the RNC and our president. And we're hoping to make it to be something that we can actually bring in money and be ready for the midterms. So I'm thrilled that he's going to be here. And if you noticed, he said that he wants to come to Texas because it's one of his favorite places on the planet. So, and you saw the FIFA people, they love this state. And so, and we know why. It's because of our people. It ain't the humidity.
I love the state. To be honest with you, when I travel, when I go on a vacation, I feel like I'm missing out because there's so much going on in the city of Houston. I'm from Ohio. I love Ohio. It's my birthplace, but I'm here for Texas forever. Count me as a Texan for life. One of the pivotal things happening is the James Tallarico, Ken Paxton race. And if you look at Ken Paxton's career, again, he was simply a small time state representative, and he found himself in the crosshairs of the big power heavy hitters of Karl Rove and George Bush. And he effectively stands today when they've unloaded their, metaphorically speaking, unloaded their guns on Ken Paxton, right? He's Teflon, he keeps winning, he's impressive as can be. Now we are told that somehow James Tallarico is going to take him out, that, it's a neck and neck pull. I don't believe this nonsense, not
No.
even a little bit. But tell me what you think about that
Well,
race.
it's funny because I actually worked for A.G. Paxton when he was a senator. And so I know how strategic this man is. He's also a weapon. He's a force in the fact that you don't even know it's coming until after it's done. And I remember Royce West said, I just realized you killed a few of my bills. And he didn't even know it until after it was done because that's just how he works. His mind is always working on how to protect Texas. So, but when it comes to Tallarico, and when you look at South Texas, like we were talking about, they go to God first. And Tallarico thinks that Mother Mary should have asked God if or God should have asked her if she should have a baby because women should have choices, or that he thinks that young people, transgenders, should have access to abortion. And, they're trying to man him up, but it's not going to happen. And in Texas, we want real men and we want real women to run for office. And we've got that, but you don't have that in Tallarico, where he has a secret girlfriend for 4 years and nobody knows about her. And I mean, it's just bizarre. And supposedly he's a preacher and he says all this about he thinks that Christianity is hateful, and it's just something that we're not excited about.
One of the things that I think the Democrats have done effectively is they have positioned the school board races outside. Oh, you got your puppy dog in the background.
He's my son's dog, and he's just so funny. Hey, Ghost. Hey. Isn't he great? He's got one eye.
So the Texas Democrats have scheduled the school board races outside on a date that is not included with the general race. And in doing so, they did that strategically. It was brilliant. And that allows them to control those school board races because all they have to do is rally for that one race when the Republicans all stay home. How do we fix that issue?
Okay. I love that you, and living in Cyprus, one of the things that I loved is how we all fought for, school board races. Remember when we all saw what was going on with COVID? And now we've gone asleep again, which, we go back to work. The Democrats don't go back to work. We don't. And we've got to get to where I want to see us focus as the RPT. I want to see us focus on local elections. We've really got to make sure that we communicate the fact that 60% of your tax dollars is what your local officials have control over. They are the most, they touch your front door, and we don't even pay attention to them. And so we've got to get to where we do that. But the thing that I would like to see the RPT get involved in is maybe reduce the amount of elections that we have, because every 5 minutes having an election is burning people out. It's putting voter fatigue, volunteer fatigue. It's putting, it costs counties millions of dollars to do a race every 5 minutes. And then also, you don't have the volunteers to work at the polls. So we've got to do something that's better, that doesn't cost taxpayers millions of dollars. And I think if you were to bundle these races together and make it more powerful that way, and not that it's every 5 seconds, because then they think, well, that's not a serious race. I'm not going to go waste my time. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't see the importance of school board races. And Democrats always have, they're always strategizing to make sure that that we have less voter turnout.
Yeah, they do a good job there. They have to keep their claws on the minds of our children, and we certainly need that to end. We need to get back in control of our schools. What is the 90 for 90th campaign?
Oh, I love that you asked. Okay, so what we have done is we're doing a campaign that is the 90 for 90th, and what that means is I want us to have just 2 more. I'd love to have 10 more state representatives, but I went ahead and called it 90 for 90th because we have the 90th session coming up. We want to keep the 88 that we've got, but we want to add a few more. But I would love to add, I may change it to be 150 to for the 90th. That doesn't have a great ring to it. But we have a lot of state representatives that are running, like Dave Bennett is running. You've got Helen Zoe. Helen Zoe was on my ex call whenever I was running for this seat, and she was outstanding. And she is the first Republican that's run against Jean Wu. And we really should be paying attention to her because she has great policy ideas. And so anyway, but doing that, I want to make sure that we have as many Republicans returning to the House, because then we can get rid of property taxes, and then we can do something about making sure that the border is secure. Because when Trump is no longer in office, we've got to make sure we protect our border, and protecting kids from the crazy things that Democrats want to do. We want to ban Sharia law. We've got to make sure that we have as many Republicans as we can in office, and that's making sure that we know who the state reps are.
Great. Well, Dorinda, that was an incredible hour. And I think that your ideas are a breath of fresh air. I think it's clear that you have a lot of excitement and energy in yourself, ready to take on the state of Texas and help our Republican Party achieve new heights. So I'm looking forward to seeing your tenure and see the results that come with it.
Thank you. This was exciting. Everybody was excited when I said I was going to be on your show. So thank you.
Excellent. Very good. Right. I look forward to meeting you in person one day.
Yes, I look forward to it too.
Great. Well, thank you for your time tonight. And this is Chris Heasley with The Chris Heasley Show. And we will be back next week with one more hot topic. Have a great week.